This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
My guest today on Sports Files is the head baseball coach of the University of Memphis Tigers, Darren Schoenrock. We normally don't think about America's pastime in early February, but believe it or not, the baseball season is upon us. At least it is for the collegiates. The Memphis Tigers will open the 2013 campaign, their final one in Conference USA, a week from today at FedEx Park. And when they do, skipper Darren Schoenrock will be manning the Memphis dugout in his 9th season opener as Tigers head coach. Coach Rock, as he's affectionately known, has been a pillar of stability for University of Memphis baseball. And while his 250 losses outnumber his 207 career wins at Memphis, Rock has picked up his share of big victories. In fact, in 2007, in just his 3rd season on the job, the Tigers won 36 games and ended a 13-year postseason drought as they made the NCAA tournament field. Last season, the Tigers won 31 games and narrowly missed winning the Conference USA Tournament Championship, falling in the title game to UAB. And while criticism of the competition in the conference can be made and often is about certain sports, it never is made about Conference USA baseball, where the competition is always at a high level with several established national powers. In other words, Memphis has held its own, and Darren Schoenrock has been a major reason why. Today, we'll not only look ahead of the 2013 Memphis Tigers baseball season, but discuss the importance, with it not only being the swan song season before the Tigers head to the Big East, but also the celebration of 100 years of Memphis baseball. We'll rock around the clock with the top cat of Tigers baseball, Darren Schoenrock, next on Sports Files. Rock, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Greg. Great to be here.
It's only February, but we're already talking baseball. It's always good to talk baseball, right?
Well, anytime the sun comes out in February, I know it gets on a lot of people's minds, but we're going full speed now.
Yeah, it's been crazy. We had a 77-degree day that you practiced in, then it was down to 32, so it changes real quick.
We told them we were getting them ready for the conference tournament and for the opening season the same week is what we're doing. So,
hey, big day tomorrow. South Campus at the Murphy Complex in the Turf Room. You guys are going to have a celebration, a banquet, where you're celebrating 100 years of Memphis Tigers baseball. The centennial year, you're going to have some former players back. It's going to be a nice little shindig. Tell everybody about what's going on tomorrow.
Well, we thought with the 100-year celebration lasting all year, this is a good time to try to corral all the former players that we could get a hold of and get them back for one evening to renew old ties and tell stories and just celebrate. And we've had different types of events and banquets each year with speakers coming in, and we're going to have some former players speak, and then along with Tom Bowen, our AD is going to speak at the end. So mostly just to celebrate what they've done to build Memphis, and then mainly to let our current team look and see what a proud tradition this program has.
Give us a few names of the former players who are showing up.
Well, I know Mark Little, who spent time in the big leagues. We're going to give him the mic for a little bit and talk, and the Mike Paxtons of the world, several of the big league guys. I've got Brent DeLugich on my staff as a student assistant now, former major leaguer. We've chosen a guy from different eras to come. Jeff Hopkins is going to speak a little bit. Allie Prescott's going to speak a little bit. Ben Grisham, who was my team captain on the 07 team, nephew of John Grisham, will speak a little bit. So we'll get a variety of stories and things that the Tiger program did for them to put them where they are today.
It's a nice fundraising event. And that's big for you. You've done a great job with fundraising. Very important when you're talking baseball as opposed to maybe a football or a basketball program. Baseball, you got to get out there, you got to dig deep, you got to find those backers, and that's very important to you.
Very important. We've got a kind of a little goal each year that we put money that we raise through any fundraising efforts back into some significant upgrade of the stadium every year, whether it's a new camera system, a new sound system, and updating a batting cage, fixing something on the field. So we put the money back into the facility to help the program, and again, mainly and it's really helped us locate where a lot of former players are. We're expecting anywhere from 195 to 240 former players plus their spouses. So we could get up into the 350 range in total number.
The season starts a week from today. You open up against Illinois State at home. I assume you like what you're putting on the field. You like this roster. Tell us a little bit about it.
Very different. You know, in my tenure here, we've been a little bit more of an offensive-oriented club. We've won games offensively. The pitching is always the hardest to build. You're always one guy short. There's always, you know, one injury can kind of set you back. This club is built a little differently. We lost 4 real key ingredients to our offensive club last year in Jacob Wilson, Eli Hines, Adam McClain, and T.J. Rich.
Right.
And replacing those guys are guys that played a lot last year as freshmen and sophomores that have at-bats under their belt, that are a little different kind of players. The biggest change is the amount of pitching depth, and this is the deepest we've been on the mound as far as quality numbers, 1 through 12, that can go out and function in a Conference USA game, and we can actually build a true bullpen now. We've got potentially building maybe an all left-handed weekend rotation. We've got some interesting dynamics with this pitching staff that, just looking back at the pro scouts and what they come out and see in the fall, there's a lot of guys getting a lot of attention now on our pitching staff, which is a really good thing.
20 returning letter winners, 7 were starters from a season ago, including a couple of pitchers. You got 12 pitchers back, 11 newcomers. This is a team last year that went to the championship game, as you know, in Conference USA, lost to UAB in the finals. So that close to getting back to the NCAA tournament. And now you've added, as I mentioned, 11 newcomers and have those quality pitchers back. So you got to feel pretty good.
Feel really good. We got on a pretty good roll late in the year. We had our struggles early. We had about 4 freshmen that were sprinkled in the lineup that were getting their feet wet for the first time. And the last month of the season, they started going a little bit. And they added to what the seniors were doing. And we made a nice little run in the tournament and fell a game short. Those guys are back with a little different taste in their mouth now. They've been there. I think that's huge. This offensive team, this lineup we're going to put on the field, we'll actually have this lineup together for 2 years. So it'll be we won't lose any guy that'll start opening weekend. They're all sophomores or freshmen. So, but the pitching being elevated gives us something to kind of hang our hat on early until this offense can get going.
Well, your ace, I assume, is Sam Moll. Last year, 5-5, ERA under 3.5 at 3.48. He was second team all-conference. He's a first-team preseason all-conference selection. How pivotal is Sam Moll?
Huge. And Sam has elevated what he can do and who he is and how he thinks and everything about his game now. He's at a lot different level. And Fred Corral, my pitching coach, has done a tremendous job just elevating the mentality. He had a very good summer up in the Cape, and they get valuable experience there. They come back different, that they've been around a lot of first-round picks, and they've been around and seen how guys operate. Had a great fall, picked right back up this spring where he left off in the fall, and he'll be our bell cow, and then the next thing is to decide, is he your Friday guy or Saturday guy, or how you use him. Kind of sometimes could depend on matchups and some other guys, but he's the guy coming back that the team's going to look to, that has been there and done that, but has also probably elevated what he can do.
Looking at the schedule for the season, once again, you'll play Ole Miss, Mississippi State at AutoZone Park. Everything else, the home games are at FedEx Park, including a series with Missouri. It's the first SEC team that you will host for a series since Tennessee back in '81. Now, you've played teams for a single game, but this is a full series with a newcomer to the SEC, Missouri. You got to feel pretty good about being able to host this team at FedEx Park.
There's some very strategic things put on our schedule to help RPI. This is we went up to Missouri last year and played them a 3-game series there, so it's a return trip, and it's huge. We scheduled the series actually before they became an SEC member, and then talking to Coach Jameson when they did join the SEC, he wanted to keep the series intact, so I'm thankful for that. There's a lot of RPI elevation type things on that schedule. Kent State coming to town for a series, an Omaha participant last year. Of course, our normal conference. So we have opportunities, and we talked to our guys about this year. I think the focal point, we've held our own on the weekends, the Conference USA slate. Where we've come up short is possibly is taking care of business in what they call midweek games in baseball, and that's a lot of the regional type opponents. And it usually involves pitching depth, and we have an opportunity now to treat every day unique and say today is the game that's Josh Pastner talks about it a lot in basketball, is whatever lies ahead, this is the game that's important. Having the chance to do that in baseball, a lot of teams make or break themselves in what they do on Tuesday and Wednesday. We've got the weekend rotation intact. Now we've got to use this pitching staff to be able to attack Ole Miss, Mississippi State, all the midweek opponents in a different manner.
Unlike, you mentioned Josh Pastner, and basketball hurt, I'll go out and say it, so don't get mad, Conference USA supporters, but they're hurt by playing Conference USA opponents. Certainly for all these years, it enhanced your schedule because of the powers in Conference USA led by Tulane. You're picked to finish 6th this season. Same bell cows picked to win this thing?
Yeah,
what's
you still have
like?
Rice and Central Florida and East Carolina and Southern Miss and Tulane. And those are schools that 3 of those have been to Omaha. 3 of those have been to our equivalent of the Final Four in my tenure here. So you're in some tall cotton now. It usually evolves or revolves around pitching depth, and I think the league this year will be very strong on the mound. Obviously, Rice, is always the program in our league that kind of gets the first attention of how's Rice going to be. They're going to be a typical Rice. They're going to be dominant on the mound. You've got to play perfect to beat them. We had a big win against them in a conference tournament last year that propelled us to the championship game. We've actually played very well against them. Tulane has really made a resurgence, since Katrina.
Right.
Their depth has been hurt a little bit. Their numbers, their enrollment, they weren't getting the quality depth walk-on. They've built that back up now.
Well, let me ask you this. We know they're quality programs. We know there are some in the Big East, but it's going to be different. Can you give us a thought about moving into the Big East?
Okay, we're leaving a league that's typically a 4 or 5 bid league in good years. Bad years, it's a 3 bid league at worst. The Big East, on their good years, have been a 3 bid league. So what that means is there's just not the depth in the league.
Right.
Now the top, to win the league, you've still got to go through some very good programs. Louisville's been to the College World Series. St. John's has been in Super Regionals. UConn's been in Super Regionals. So there's programs at the top that have been very good. But top to bottom, it's not as closely matched as the league we're in now. So it'll be an interesting culture. That from what they say, there's big arms. Their position player teams aren't quite as athletic. There's some differences, but I'm looking forward to to what it does for our athletic department. 1 and 2. A change. Change is good. Different is good. Taking our guys to New York to play St. John's will be good. Going to Connecticut to play. There'll be some cultural things that are really good for development of the whole person. Half my locker room's never been to New York City, and they'll get to experience next year.
Culture shock.
Culture
shock. 2 words for you. Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Eric, your son. What's it like to coach this young pitcher who's done a phenomenal job?
Well, he came in. He had a lot of options out of high school. It was a unique thing. I got out of the way and let my assistants recruit him, and he made a lot of visits and decided on his own to attend Memphis, and then played a very small role as a freshman, as a lot of freshmen do. Had a good summer after his freshman year. Came back last year, sophomore year, much different pitcher. Had a pretty serious back injury that sidelined him for about half the season. So didn't really come into fruition like we thought it would last year. Went to the Cape Cod League this summer and really improved and elevated and had a tremendous fall, and now has found himself somewhere in the mix to be in our starting weekend rotation. So he's gone from relative obscurity to probably on a lot of draft lists, as Sam has, as Jonathan Van Eaton, our closers, on some draft lists. We have 2 or 3 junior college guys. It's neat to see the transition. I've not been involved in the daily individual grind in bullpens and the plan. I leave that to my assistant coaches, and Coach Corral and Eric have bonded very well, and he's got strikeout capabilities. So could be a unique rotation. It could be an all left-handed rotation. We got a junior college pitcher named Alex Gunn that will factor in as possibly a Sunday starter. that can kind of throw an opposing coach into a whirlwind when you
Sure can.
announce 3 lefties for the weekend. So
Keeps them on their toes, if anything.
yeah.
Make sure you go to GoTigersGo.com to check out the schedule. But again, a week from today against Illinois State is when it all starts. Memphis plays a very rugged schedule, non-conference and, of course, in conference. Rock, we like to do this with all our guests. We end our interview with 5 for the road. I'll give you 5 questions, quick answers, first thing that comes to mind. Ready?
Ready.
Your favorite professional team of all time in any sport?
Of all time in any sport, I would probably have to say the Atlanta Braves, and I'll say a series of teams when they were going with Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, and Avery. That pitching staff was, being a former pitching coach, that was a lot of fun to watch.
Imagine you were a big fan of Bobby Cox, the skipper
Cox,
as well.
Yes.
Professional athlete, your favorite professional athlete of all time?
You know, I had the opportunity, Greg, as a volunteer coach in the Chicago White Sox organization in '94 to work with the Birmingham Barons when Michael Jordan played. And wasn't a huge Michael Jordan fan one way or the other. Before that, I got to see it up close and personal. And I'll say this about it, spending every day with Michael, throwing batting practice to him, the hardest working
Whatever it
athlete
is, right?
that I've ever been around.
Playing chess, it would be, he would be
Absolutely.
competitive to want to beat you.
Yes.
All right, real quick, final 3. Favorite music, what do you like to listen to? You got a group, a band?
Eagles.
The Eagles, you're
Eagles. I'm an old Eagles
Retro.
guy. Retro.
Favorite movie of all time?
I've got to say, big fan of Hoosiers and what it and the impact that guy, that coach has on the team dynamic.
Surprised you went with basketball instead of a baseball movie.
Well, I spent some time coaching at Kentucky too, so I got a little basketball in me.
Absolutely. And finally, favorite television show? What do you like to watch when you're unwinding from baseball?
Well, tough. Sports Files with Greg Gaston. How about that?
How about that?
Does
My
it get-
producer, David George says, bingo, that's 2 weeks in a row that our guest has said
And
that.
I didn't even see last week's show, so there.
Right on cue. Hey, Rock, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you,
Best of
Greg.
luck to you. Enjoy the celebration tomorrow of 100 years, and we'll be celebrating it all year long with the Tigers, their 100th year of playing baseball. We'll take a break, come back with overtime right after this. I can't imagine that starting a company from scratch is an easy task. So much goes into the process, the time, energy, financial commitment. That's just the tip of the iceberg, because sustaining a new product is even tougher than initially getting it off the ground. Nick Harmeyer is the president of V3 Fights, an amateur mixed martial arts company that began in Memphis and is now branching out to Nashville. In fact, V3 will put on a show in Nashville a week from tomorrow. V3 is one of the fastest growing MMA companies in the entire nation. The show's production is impressive, leading to a deal to air its product on regional network CSS with hopes to go national in the near future. Fighters from all over the Southeast are catching wind of the quality of V3 and are seeking out opportunities to be a part of a V3 fight card. I recently had a chance to chat with Nick about the origin of V3 and plans for the future. And just a word of caution to you parents, some of the footage in this piece may not be suitable for young children. Well, Nick, thanks for being with us. How did V3 start?
Well, it started off, I did a little promoting stuff when I was back in college with parties and everything, and I'd worked with FedEx Forum on their initiative on legalizing MMA in Tennessee to bring a UFC fight, and I saw the opportunity for it, so I jumped right into it, and we started doing V3 Fights.
Are you surprised at how much it has grown in such a short time?
Not at all. I mean, out west, it's taken off really well. It's taken off in a ton of different countries also. So Memphis, with its strong wrestling background in general, from Monday Night Wrestling with Jerry King, I knew that this city loves that action, and it produces some of the best fighters, really in the country. So it works out well.
Yeah, Jerry Lawler, the king, right?
Yeah.
Well, did you expect to have this plethora of talent that you have assembled? And not only are you getting fighters from Tennessee, but nearby Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, but did you expect this part of the country to have this many young, impressive fighters?
I didn't expect it to take off this quickly with the fighters. I knew that we were going to have to build them a little bit and get good, strong fighters and kind of get everyone kind of up to speed with it. I mean, you go out in Memphis right now and everyone's, a ton of great basketball players, but now you grab some of these guys and they're great strikers, they're great brawlers, and you get them a little wrestling behind them, a little jiu-jitsu, and they're, pretty well-rounded fighters. So Memphis has, it's that attitude, it's that grit. Everyone has that grit here in this city, I think, and really just in this area. And that's what I think really makes a lot of these fighters stand out from other fighters.
Nick, not only do you have great matchups, great fighters, but the show, the production is so important to you to put on for the fans out there as they're going to be entertained, not just by what happens inside the cage, but everything that goes along with the fight.
Exactly. It's fight week. Once it's fight week going, going from the weigh-ins to tonight, you come to it and it's not just fights going on here in the cage. It's a very eclectic atmosphere. We have people that come in here that's 85, 90 years old to watch these fights, but then we also have people that come in here and, 6, 7-year-old kids come in here and watch it. So, and a lot of that is because of how we set up the production and how the show's built. It's built just like, we try to build it just like the Grizzlies or like the University of Memphis. Our team goes all those events, and so it was a no-brainer for us to try to say, hey, this is the blueprint for what a sporting event is supposed to look like when you're at it. It's not just basketball when you go to a Grizzlies game. There's a ton of stuff going on there also, with different promotions and stuff, and that's what we bring here too.
Not only that, but you've also built on what MMA has become. You watch UFC fights and how popular that is, and I guess you put it all together and you come up with V3 Fights.
Yes, exactly, and we're getting there, and we still have a lot of work to do. We're moving around to a couple different markets. We're going to Nashville in February, and that's going to be a true test for us is checking out how strong we can be in another market.
Yeah, we have the fights coming up in February in Nashville, as you mentioned, and the expansion, is that a big part of it? You feel right now you are ready to take it to that next level and go beyond just what you do here in Memphis?
Yes, definitely. We can be the biggest and best in Memphis, and that's great to be in Memphis, but as we just signed with Comcast Sports South, it makes sense for us to try to go around and start hitting some of these different markets and finding these great fighters. But also, we have a great show, a great production, great events. So, we pride ourselves on being from Memphis, home of entertainment, home of Elvis Presley. Mm-hmm. We know good entertainment, so let's take it on the road and show people what we're about.
Right now, it's the best amateur fighters. They make their mark right inside this cage, the V3 cage, and then they move on to the professional ranks. Are there any thoughts about expanding to professional MMA?
Yes. Ultimately, our goal is we really kind of want to be the AAA for UFC. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we want good, young, strong fighters. And what we have right now is we're getting a really good deep pool of amateurs. And so as those generations of amateurs turn pro, it makes sense for us to turn pro with them, because now we know that we've built that supply, and whenever we turn pro, that demand to be there, and we already have the supply with it also, so it makes sense for us. But to go pro right now, there's just not enough pros out there, especially just around this area. But I think, I always say generations. We're on this is our third generation right now, so these next group of guys that go pro, makes sense for us to go pro with them, because again, we'll have a deep pool of fighters to pull from and continue to match good, strong, exciting fights for the fans.
All right, final question for you. I'm a genie. You've already went like this to my shoulder, and poof, I give you a wish. I give you one wish. You cannot say unlimited amounts of money, because then obviously you can do whatever you want. There's one thing that you want to be able to do. What would it be if you had that wish?
Oh, there's so many.
To help expand what you're doing right now with V3 Fights.
National TV deal's a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. If we really want to push it strong, if we can get on NBC or something, once a week, that'd be great for us. Once a month, I'd be happy with that.
And the popularity is still very much there. When the MMA hit and boxing took a step back, and people still wanted that excitement, they got it with the MMA. And it still continues today in 2013.
Well, unless you've been to a fight. It's one thing watching it, and it's great to watch, but when you come and you experience it, it's a whole another kind of level of excitement.
It's an absolute show. And folks, it's right here inside the cage with V3 Fights. Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
So Jason Levine and the Grizzlies top brass did it. They dealt Rudy Gay. They dealt a member of the team's core four. Many thought it wouldn't happen until after the season concluded because the team's previous trade with Cleveland got them under the luxury tax threshold. Well, if there's one thing we've learned about the new ownership and management group with the Grizzlies is to expect the unexpected. No, dealing Rudy was not a shocker, but I just feel anything is possible. Of course, as I've stated before on Sports Files, Jason Levian was brought in by his buddy Robert Parra to shed spending, but to do so without damaging the team's ability to compete. And while the jury is still out on what will occur in the future, right now they have accomplished that goal. And that'll do it for this week's show. Remember to see any of our previous programs, head to our website at WKNO.org and click on KNO Tonight. And we'll see you next time.